All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Angry Watch. We're going to be talking about World Eaters today, a very cool faction that I'm a big fan of, and some really interesting rules. Let's get into it. So their faction rule is if your army faction is World Eaters, which obviously it is, at the start of your battle round, you get to play a game outside of the game where you roll 8 dice. When you roll those dice, you are looking for certain quantities of those dice, certain combos, and then you can use those on the Blessings of Corn table. And they give you real benefits that you're going to want in your World Eaters army. So let's look at some of those benefits. There's some extra rules around this as well. Any unused dice are binned off. There's ways to re-roll dice, which is really cool with some of your units, and of course, an enhancement, which we'll talk about in a minute. But it's super cool. So here it is. So here's the different rule sets here. Apologies, this writing is very small. Hopefully, you're not watching this on your phone. Don't worry, I'm going to read them out to you anyway. So here's the different things you can spend your dice on. So with any double, you can spend it on Rage Fueled Invigoration. What does that do? It gives you +2 move. You know what World Eaters like doing? Getting across the table. That's pretty good. Any double, when you roll 8 dice, it's very likely to happen. Wrathful Devotion. Again, any double. This is a 6-up Feel No Pain or +1 to any existing Feel No Pains. So again, really cool. Probably one maybe when you're already in combat. Later in the game to help you be a bit more survivable, or maybe even one when you're getting, you think you're going to get shot, or you're being a bit more defensive. Maybe you've got a head on points, and now you just need to survive, something like that. Martial Excellence, you can get that on a double 3 or more. Melee weapons have sustained hits 1 ability. Great if you're going into chaff, or you've got the ability, funny thing about World is they don't have many attacks that can get through tanks. So this is really good if you're going into a load of chaff, maybe orcs, maybe nids, things like that. So then we're looking at the next one, which is any double 4 or any triple, any double 4 or more, or any triple. You can use that for total carnage. By the way, all the names in this book, it could easily be metal albums, right? It's so cool. Each time a model in this unit is destroyed by a melee attack, if that model has not yet fought this phase, you fight on death on a 4+. It's pretty good. However, a double 4 or more or any triple feels like a lot to spend on this, especially when you're rolling a 4-up. I'd think about this if I had loads of models in my army. If you just went for loads and loads and loads of berserkers, maybe this is a cool thing. But I think with the lower model counts we're seeing, it's a bit of a gamble, in my own opinion. Maybe it's good if you are going into something like another melee army, and you can say, well, you know what, if they kill my stuff, maybe I kill it back, and you should be like, you think you'd be up versus them by the end of that combat round in terms of dead models. All right, next one. Any double 5 or more, any triple. So we're getting into the hard ones. You would get Warp Blades. What does that do? Melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have lethal hits abilities. So, I just said it's really difficult to get through tanks and monsters. 6 is auto wound, baby. Really nice one. Definitely one I would consider if you're fighting an elite or vehicle heavy army, monster heavy army as well. Finally, last one, Unbridled Bloodlust. Oh, what a name. Double 6s or triple 4 or more is advance and charge. So really cool. What a great way to get across the battlefield. It's going to be something you want to do. And you've already got units with pretty strong movement in terms of the 8-bound and exalted 8-bound. So imagine putting +2 on that move and advancing and charging. That might be a first turn combo to try and get across the board. Or maybe turn 2 after you've staged a little bit to get a little bit closer. Very cool faction rule, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun doing this. If anything, this sounds super fun. All right, let's look at the next bit. So what is their detachment? Oh no, you can't see this because I've covered it in a block. Well, we'll figure it out, guys. We'll figure it out between us. But each time a World Eaters unit from your army is selected to fight, if that unit made a charge move this turn, until the end of the phase, add +1 strength and +1 attacks to the characteristic of melee weapons, plural, equipped by that unit. So if someone has a melee weapon and another one they get to use, potentially it gets a +1 attack. Not the extra weapons keyword though, obviously not that. So your entire Khorne Berserker squad, if they've got a glaive or they've got single-handed weapons, things like that, you do get the benefit for all of those, which is super nice. Then let's look at enhancements. Oh, of course, just to like touch on that last bit. If we add up everything this army does, right, and you're trying to get an idea of what this army wants to do, if you don't know, and I'm sure you do know, World Eaters want to punch you in the face. That's what they want to do. And everything about this says get into combat, which is super cool. So everything we've seen so far, let's have a look at the enhancements and see if that helps as well. So enhancements, you can put these on your characters, not epic heroes though. So Favored of Khorne, after making a blessing roll, you can re-roll all the dice. So you can't choose one, you have to do all of them. Nice. You know, what if you get a duff roll? It's pretty good. Do I want to spend this points on this? I don't know. I feel like you're going to get the majority of I mean, God, I'm saying this now. I feel like you're going to get what you want the majority of the time. But I'm sure you'll tell me different. But I think it's okay. It's okay. I'm lukewarm on it. Lukewarm. The Berserker Glaive is very cool. So you add +1 to attack on the bearer's melee weapon, and after charging, you get D3. You add D3 to the attacks and damage until the end of the turn. Really great if you are putting this on a Lord Avocado or Avocado or whatever you call him, and chucking him through units. Because obviously, I think it does mortals when it charges. It's got extra attacks, but also it can get these extra attacks as well. So if you add all that up together, it's really just going to hopefully plow through some units. I believe it only has AP1 if I remember rightly, so it's a little bit tricky to get those attacks through. But adding all this up feels really powerful. Battle Lust. The bearer's unit can heroically intervene for 0 CP and do so if you've already used this stratagem. I'm not a massive fan of this. I don't feel like your opponent's going to want to get within 3 inches of you, and you're going to want to charge them. So how often are you going to get to do this? I'm unsure of. I'm unsure of that. So not my favorite. And then the Helm of Blaze and Ire, half damage against his character. That's so good. Damage has really come down now, especially with incidental shooting against infantry. You'd be putting this on an infantry character or the Lord Avocado, and you know, unless someone shoots like a massive gun at him, this half damage is going to really be beneficial against their kind of elite infantry killing guns. So like damage 3, damage 2. It's really going to help your character stay alive, which is really nice. Super. All right, let's move on to some stratagems. So, Gory Massacre. Use this in the fight phase. Once you've killed a unit after charging, every enemy unit within 6 inches takes a battle shock text at -1. Obviously, I've shortened the stratagems down so that we can get a more concise idea of what they do, because the text on this is massive. But I've tried to distill it to basically, you charge a unit, you kill it, everyone else bags themselves, and they have to take a battle shock test in their command phase at -1. It's the only battle shock test they need to take. It's not in addition to the normal battle shock they might have to take anyway. So quite nice. And the -1 is fine. I'm unsure how powerful battle shock is in 10th edition. It's in the game so far, I've seen it be very, very mediocre. So whether or not you use this one, it might be situational. But the Skull Throne, +1 to wound in melee versus a character, monster, or vehicle. We said before it's hard to kill monster vehicles. This will help you. It'll get you to wound on 4s, maybe 5s, but this is how to do it, as well as those lethal hits. For the Blood God, after killing a unit, you can make an additional blessings of Khorne roll and add an additional blessing. Really nice, and 1 CP. That's really great. All right, 2 CP. Khorne cares not. So this is an interesting one. 2 CP, -1 damage to a unit. It's expensive, but I feel like this is going to be super powerful on the occasion your opponent pumps some damage 2 into your 8 pounds, and you're like, oh no, what's going to happen? I'm fine, because it's damage 1 now. So that's quite nice. Maybe even damage 2 into your Khorne Berserkers as well. It might keep a couple alive. Then you get to do the Bloodlust thing and move forward into them. Ooh, that's going to be a real feels bad for your opponent when you drop that one. Blood offering, really interesting. If you get shot off an objective is when you want to use this. When a unit dies on an objective you controlled, you gain sticky objective essentially. So you get to keep that objective until your opponent takes it. Last but not least, apocalyptic frenzy. You get an auto 6-inch advance. Exactly what you want when you're playing blood eaters. What? World eaters. Very cool. You can use that with just +2 movement and advance and charge to go just right across the board. Super nice. Imagine that on your 8-bound, for example. Really powerful. All right, guys. I've really loved talking to you about World Eaters and finding out about the faction myself. I want to hear what your thoughts are. And if you enjoy playing World Eaters in 10, give me a shout. Join our Discord, like this video. Catch you next time.